Hello, welcome to lesson 29 of Learn New Testament Greek. This is the last of a three-part series on John chapter 2, the incident of the wedding at Cana in Galilee. So in this lesson we'll conclude it and see what happens. So verse 8, John chapter 2 verse 8, Kai lege autois, and he says to them, this is Jesus talking to the servants at the wedding feast, Ant lesate nun kai ferete to architriclino hoide enenkan. And he says to them, dip it out. So this is like scoop it out. A ladle, we might say, ladle it out now and take it. Interestingly, this is an aorist imperative. The S shows that it's an aorist, and this is a present imperative. But not too much difference in meaning here. We'll just translate ladle it out now and take it to, this is the dative, to the architriclino. So archi means the boss or the ruler. Triclino, so clino means it's related to the English word recline, and they would recline in Roman style. Well, at least the Romans did. I don't know whether all the Jews would have, but that's the Greek word comes from that. So he's the head steward or the MC. I guess there are different translations for this. Hoi de enenkan. Now this is actually the same word as fere, carry or take, but notice it has a different form. We talked about this in previous lessons where two verbs that were originally quite different have lost part of their forms and joined forces to cover the area together. So the present form is this, and the past form is this. They carried it. Hos de egusato ha architriclinos tahudor oinon gegenemenon, as or when there, again the voice comes second, we probably won't translate it, egusator, he tasted. So again the e meaning past and the s indicating aorist, also simple past, when he tasted it. Now the subject, the MC, the water, wine having become. So this is characteristic of the perfect, where the first two letters of the verb are repeated, having become. The water which had become wine. Kai uk ede pothin estin, and uk ede, he did not know pothin, from where it is. So he didn't know where it come from. Hoi de diakonoi edesan, the servants knew, the servants who fetched the water. So he, again we're talking about the MC again, the head man, he calls the nymphion, the bridegroom. From this we get the word nymph, because it's also you have a word the same that talks about the bride, but this is the masculine form and it's talking about the bridegroom. He calls the bridegroom the leader, master of ceremonies. So again notice the order, verb, object, subject. So this, we call it an unusual order, but it's reasonably common all the same, and no particular emphasis or anything like that indicated here. Perhaps it's just style. Kai lege auto, and he says to him, Pas anthropos proton ton kalon oinon tithesin. Every man first the good wine places. Tithe, this word means to put, or to place, or to, we might say, bring out, or offers. And kalon, first notice the ends here indicate an object, and we might translate, as several versions do, the best wine. Hebrew doesn't change adjectives like we do. We say good, better, best. The Greek does, but Jewish speakers and writers under the influence of Hebrew will often use good when they mean better or best. And it's probably the best translation here. So he's saying everybody serves the best wine first. Everybody serves the best wine first, and when methustosin, and when they are, well, this could mean drunk, or could mean, when they've drunk plenty, then the elason, the worse. So this is a comparative form. He doesn't say the bad, but the worse stuff, the not so good stuff. So, and this is emphatic here, putting the freestanding pronoun here, because this ending here is already telling us that it's you singular. The K is indicating perfect, and again the repeating of the first two letters of the word, slightly changed here, is a characteristic of the perfect. And the first approximation translation of that is you have kept, and I think that's probably the way we'll translate it into English here. You have kept the good wine until now. So again we'll say the best. You have kept the best wine until now. And I'm sure that when John wrote these words, he's thinking of the deeper meaning behind all this, where Jesus has come after all the Jewish ceremonies. It's interesting that the water that Jesus changed into wine was water used for Jewish purification ceremonies to cleanse people of their sin. But it was never quite effective. And so Jesus has now come to show the better way, or the best way. And so the best wine is symbolic of Jesus coming and showing the best way and providing the best way. Now some people would say this is totally symbolic and it's not a real event, it didn't really happen, it's only written to give this symbolic meaning. It's like an allegory, something that didn't actually occur. But I think it's pretty clear from the way it's written that this is a real historic event. John has written it that way, but John certainly does bring out its bigger significance. It was a sign, and we're going to see that word sign in verse 11. Tauten epoesen argenton semeon ho Jesus en Cana tes Galileas. So here's the word sign. A sign. So this is the word that John uses for Jesus' miracles. There are other words for miracles, but John prefers this word sign because he sees significance in them. And we get the word significance from sign. These miracles are not just magic tricks, not just party tricks that Jesus entertained people with or helped them out of a scrape at their wedding, but these signs have a significance. It's a real miracle that Jesus did, but the important thing that John wants us to know is that it has a significance, it has a deep significance about the meaning of Jesus' life and death and his ministry. So back here, again with the S indicating aorist, simple past, and here's again the object in first place, this, he did, archen, the first of the signs. Jesus, here's the subject right back here, in Cana tes Galileas, in Cana of Galilee. And ephanerosin, again the and the S, indicating that this is aorist, simple past, and he showed ten doxan autu, his glory. Kai epistusan es autan hoi mathetai autu, and they believed in him, his disciples. So first a comment on this word doxan. In the Tok Pisin Bible in Papua New Guinea, they translated it big pala number, na strong belong him. So big number, meaning importance, status, na strong and strength belong in of him. And this epistusan is auton, which is a characteristic word in John's Gospel, talking about belief in Jesus. Now, when we discussed John chapter 3 verse 16 in a previous lesson, I opted to translate this expression as submitted to his leadership. That translation doesn't work so well here. We don't have to have exactly the same translation in every place that a word or a phrase occurs. In fact, that's impossible unless you want to do violence to the target language. Here, well, Westcott, the 19th century British commentator, said that this indicates the absolute transference of trust from oneself to another. And Westcott points out that John uses it frequently, but it's found only in one place in the other three Gospels. So John obviously thought long and hard about the best way to express this, and this is his favourite chosen expression. And here we'd probably translate trust, or put their faith in him, or put their trust in him. And it also has the component of believe, in the sense of believing a fact, believing the fact that Jesus is the one, the Messiah, the one to come that they were waiting for. So his disciples believed in him. The rest of the people weren't quite ready yet, but the disciples were ready, and they, at this point, they believed in him. They put their belief and their trust in him. So there it is, the miracle of Jesus turning the water into wine with all its significance. And this miracle, alone among the miracles recorded by John in his Gospel, has no parallel in the other three Gospels. But to John, it obviously has deep significance, and so he brings it out right, he records it right at the beginning of Jesus' ministry here in John chapter 2.